All right, ready to dive into some, well, deep feelings today.
Always up for that.
Our deep dive this time is, I don't love you anymore.
Ooh, that's direct.
Right. You shared this poetry collection by Rithvik Singh Rathore with us, and I gotta say that title, it grabs you.
Definitely eye-catching. So why would Rathor, who's already got that Instagram poetry fame as, what is it, at Wordsworthfic,
That's it, yeah.
why'd he go for such a, well, kind of brutal title right out the gate? This is the guy who hit big with Warmth, his first book.
Exactly. So it's not like he shies away from, the feels, but this one cuts deep even before you open it.
It's bold, no doubt. I think it speaks to Rathor being willing to just go there, to those raw, messy places heartbreak takes us. He's not shying away from being vulnerable, which honestly makes it more universal. We've all felt that.
Yeah, it's like when someone says, I don't love you anymore, as much as it can wreck you, there's also this strange sense of honesty to it, like clearing the air, even if the air is now full of smoke from the emotional explosion.
Right, it's powerful, but this collection doesn't just say it, it makes you feel asterisk it, like this line. Our love is a sinking ship in the middle of the ocean. If we must stop loving each other, life must stop loving us too.
Whoa. Okay, I see why you picked that one. First of all, that image, it's like a movie in your head. You can practically hear the wood groaning, the water rushing in.
Exactly, and that's the point. It's tapping into that feeling of helplessness when heartbreak hits. It's like this precious thing, this love is going under, and you are powerless to stop it.
And then he connects it to asterisk, life asterisk itself. Like, if their love ends, life's love ends too. It's almost too much to handle.
It makes it feel all-encompassing, like there's no escape from the pain.
Like love was the only thing keeping them afloat, and now, nothing. Have you ever read a line or like a metaphor in poetry that just did that to you, just completely put you in that emotional space?
All the time, honestly. It's why I love poetry so much. But Arather has a gift for it, finding those images that are relatable, but also you don't see them coming.
Like sinking ship, love. Not the usual pairing, but man, it works. And he keeps going with his visceral stuff. There's that line, your absence has created cemeteries in my soul. There's so much of me that doesn't exist anymore.
That one floored me. Notice how it goes from this huge image, the ocean, to something internal, the soul, and the words themselves. Cemeteries in my soul. It's not just sadness, it's like emptiness. Parts of the speaker are just asterisk on asterisk with that relationship.
Yeah, like they're not the same person they were before this heartbreak. Heavy stuff, but there's this honesty to it. It's compelling.
Exactly, that's what makes it resonate. Because let's face it, we've all been there. Or known someone who has. And to have someone put those feelings into words, those exact asterisk words.
It's almost cathartic.
It is. Like, it's okay to feel this. You're not alone.
Totally. And that's where I think the power of this collection lies. But we've got to remember Ressler is not leaving us drowning in sadness. There's hope here, too. Resilience. It just takes a bit to find it, like a faint light way off in the distance.
And that's what we'll get into as we explore more of I Don't Love You Anymore right after this.
Yeah.
That faint light, that hope you mentioned, it's not like, bam, everything's fine. It's more like Rother's showing us how healing, it's a process, not a light switch.
Totally. And like any journey worth taking, there's bumps along the way.
Right.
It's not just heartbroken to totally healed, just like that.
Exactly. And Rother captures that so well in this collection. He doesn't downplay the pain, but he also doesn't let it be the whole story. There's this one line really gets to the heart of it. I'm not the person you left behind. I've been feeling my feelings so freely since the day I stopped having feelings for you.
Oh, that one's powerful. It's almost like declaring independence.
Yeah.
He's taking back his identity, his right to feel, all of it, separate from the relationship, the loss.
Right. And notice how he puts it, feeling his feelings asterisk freely, asterisk six. It's like maybe in the relationship there was this holding back, like he had to dim his emotions for someone else. And now there's freedom in just feeling everything, even if it hurts.
It takes strength to do that, to be that open, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. It speaks to how resilient we can be even when we feel broken. But what I find interesting is how Rathor uses these really small, everyday things to show that inner growth. Remember that poem? The one where he talks about finally using a full stop instead of a semicolon when he's writing about, asterisk or asterisk.
Oh, yeah. It's such a small detail, but it stuck with me. What is it about that, as someone who, analyzes literature, that resonates?
Well, think about it. Semicolon, it's a pause, like something's still connected, but a full stop, that's final. Exactly. And for Rather to use something as simple as punctuation to show that shift, choosing to close the chapter, no going back, it's brilliant. These little relatable moments are what make his poetry hit so hard.
It's like he's saying, you don't need some huge gesture to heal. Sometimes it's those tiny shifts, those internal full stops that make all the difference.
And it's not just about moving on from asterisk, her asterisk specifically. It's about finding yourself again, too. He's got these lines, I've gotten better at saying goodbye ever since you left. And what terrifies me is the possibility of feeling so deeply for someone once again that I'm physically incapable of not talking to them or reaching out to them despite knowing things are over.
Those are rough. Really honest, though.
They are. He's getting better at letting go, but that fear of being vulnerable again, of making the same mistakes, it's so relatable.
It's like this push and pull, right?
Yeah.
You want to protect yourself, but you also want to be open to love.
Exactly. He's caught between those two impulses. But even with that fear, there's still hope. He hasn't given up on love completely.
That's there. And that's what makes it real. I mean, haven't we all been tempted to reach out? Even when we know it's over. It's that head versus heart battle.
It's universal,
Yeah.
that fear of repeating our patterns, like, will I pick the wrong person again? Will I ever find someone who really sees me?
And that's where I think this whole self-discovery journey comes in. It's not enough to just get over asterisk commit. You have to understand your own baggage, what you want, what you need, so you can choose better next time.
It's about learning to love yourself too, right? Because if you don't have that, how can you expect someone else to?
Exactly. And that's something I'm really interested to see how it develops, especially when Rathor starts looking at other kinds of love, not just romantic.
It's interesting, right, how Rathor brings in those other kinds of love. Like you were saying, it's not all about romance. Those poems about family, especially his mom, they add a whole other layer.
Yeah, for sure. It's like, even with all the heartbreak we've been talking about, there's still so much love out there. And the way he writes about his mother, her strength, it gets to you.
It really does. There's this one line, it always sticks with me. She buried her dreams to make space for us to belong. That image, burying dreams, it's kind of tough to read, But it's also inspiring in a way.
Totally. Burying dreams, it makes you think of sacrifice, right?
Mm.
Putting everyone else first.
Mm.
But there's no resentment in his words, just this deep respect for what his mom did. And it's not like showy strength either. It's quiet. Like, remember those lines about her always wearing her favorite saris, even though her husband never said anything about them?
Oh, yeah. That detail is powerful. It's like this small act of rebellion, almost, holding on to who she is, even if it's just in those little things.
Like, I'm going to find joy in asterisk, my asterisk way, whether you notice or not. Which, honestly, is a good lesson for everyone, right? Finding your own sunshine. It shouldn't depend on someone else.
No, it shouldn't. And, that ties back into the self-love thing, rather with romantic love, the family stuff. He's creating this whole picture of how love works, how messy it can be.
Totally. And how heartbreak, as much as it's a universal thing, it's also different for everybody. The way we heal, it's not the same for any two people.
Right, there's no one answer. But what Rathor gives us through his poetry is that sense that we're not alone in it. He's been there, felt those things, and he's not afraid to talk about it.
And the way he writes, it's so raw. Speaking of which, I keep thinking about that line. My heart is made of art. The poems may not make sense to you, but they'll always make you feel something.
Yes. That sums up his whole style, I think. It's not about being perfect or even always making sense on the surface. It's about being real, being vulnerable, and making that connection.
Speaking your truth, even if your voice shakes a little.
Yeah.
And by doing that, maybe you're giving someone else permission to do the same.
Absolutely. If you're listening to this and any of this resonates, if you've loved, if you've lost, if you're scared to open up again, your feelings are real, your story matters, and you are not alone.
And hey, maybe exploring those feelings through poetry, Rathor's, your own, whatever. Maybe that's part of the healing, part of finding your way back to yourself.
And maybe helping someone else along the way.